Clara was a young mother who lived in a snug house beside the forest with her baby son Mateo and her German shepherd, Braco. Mateo liked to watch warm sunbeams slip through the east window while he babbled happy sounds inside his maple crib. Braco, a large dog with glossy black and tan fur, followed Clara like a silent and friendly guardian. Each morning the dog gently carried one of Mateo's striped socks to Clara's bed and left it as a playful gift for the day. The neighbors said Braco had an almost human instinct for sensing feelings and hidden dangers around the yard. Clara felt safe because the dog never growled or showed aggression, raised from a clumsy puppy with patience and endless affection. Still, she always supervised the time Mateo spent near the dog, remembering frightening web stories that warned about brief lapses. That summer Tuesday, sunlight flooded the living room like a golden blanket that lit the cloth and plastic toys scattered across the carpet. The air smelled of toast and cinnamon apples because Clara was cooking a quick and cheerful breakfast before starting her remote job shift. On the oak table, her laptop lay open with unanswered emails blinking, while the metal kettle whistled a steady, comforting tune. Mateo shook a cherry-red rattle with surprising strength, making a tinkling rhythm that became the soundtrack of the morning. Braco watched every movement of the baby with bright eyes, his tail swaying slowly like a metronome measuring safety. An old postcard from Grandpa hung on the wall, showing another German shepherd guarding a laughing girl dressed in white. That picture always reminded Clara of the fierce loyalty the breed could show when a true bond formed with a family. As the clock struck 8, a curious bird bumped the glass, making Mateo burst into a giggle that filled the room. Braco tilted his head but did not move from his woven rug, keeping a respectful distance from the crib. Clara thought the day would be like any other, calm and full of chores, coffee aroma, and infant laughter. She did not suspect that in minutes her steady trust would be tested in the most unexpected and frightening way. Outside, oak leaves whispered secrets to the wind as if they wanted to warn of something urgent. Inside, peaceful silence ruled and the hands of the clock marched on, unaware of the dramatic turn the very sunny day was about to take very soon. After buttering the toast, Clara remembered she had left her phone charging in the next room and went to fetch it quickly. Before stepping out, she glanced at Mateo dozing and Braco resting with his chin on his paws, both bathed in the mellow yellow sunlight. The hallway was short, only 10 soft steps, and Clara calculated she would be away for less than half a minute. Thoughts of the grocery list and an urgent work email drifted through her mind, harmless distractions that erased caution. The hallway rug muffled her steps, and the faint creak of wood faded the moment the kitchen door clicked shut behind her. The living room fell silent except for the ticking wall clock and the gentle hum of the ceiling fan. Braco lifted his ears and turned toward the crib, catching a small sound that human ears in the hallway could not detect. A single wasp had slipped through the half-open window and now buzzed dangerously close to Mateo's round cheek, lured by the sweet smell of apple slices. The baby frowned and waved his hands, unaware of the dark striped dart hovering like a tiny helicopter over calm water. Braco sprang up with startling speed, muscles rippling beneath shining fur, brown eyes locked on the intruding insect. The dog remembered the time a bee had stung Clara's wrist, and she cried, forever linking buzzing wings to pain. He braced one paw against the crib rail for balance, and released a soft bark that carried warning, not anger. Mateo opened his eyes in confusion and dropped the red rattle, while the wasp dipped in a jagged line toward his tender skin. With a precise snap, Braco caught the insect between his teeth, applying just enough pressure to end its flight without shaking. He shook his head once and spat the lifeless body onto the rug, making sure the stinger lay far from the baby's reach. Then he lowered his paw, licked Mateo's tiny fingers in reassurance, and let out a calm huff as if saying the threat was gone. The entire scene unfolded in barely 15 heartbeats, an invisible moment that nevertheless rewrote the script of the quiet morning. In the bedroom, Clara picked up her phone and scrolled the screen, unaware of the small battle fought in her absence. In her imagination, Braco still lounged peacefully, and the house remained safe, yet reality had already veered onto a hidden path. That slim slice of time set the stage for the sight that, upon her return, would etch itself in Clara's memory forever. Clara re-entered the living room with her phone in hand and felt her heart slam against her ribs when she saw the crib standing impossibly empty. Braco stood rigid in the room, holding something wrapped in Mateo's soft blue blanket between his jaws. A frozen wave raced down Clara's spine, turning the once warm air into icy needles that stole the breath from her lungs. The phone slipped from her grasp and thudded onto the carpet, its screen flashing alerts while dread clouded her vision. Screaming headlines about sudden dog attacks on children blitzed through her mind like shards of broken glass thrown by fear. She took one trembling step forward and managed to whisper in a cracked voice, "Braco, drop it right now, please." The shepherd turned his head slowly, offering expression that looked both pleading and deeply hurt by her unexpected terror. Mateo made no sound, yet Clara could not see his face, only a dark damp spot staining the blanket's edge and sparking horror. Interpreting the stain as blood, she felt her knees buckle, forcing her to brace a hand against the wall to stay upright. Braco backed away 2 paces, still gripping the precious bundle as carefully as if it were blown sugar glass. The air grew heavy and electric, as though even the ancient clock dared not tick while panic gripped the bright room. Clara fought the tremor in her voice, recalled obedience class, and ordered more firmly, "Stay. Come here, nice and slow." The dog obeyed, padding forward until he stood an arm's length away, tail lowered yet wagging in tight, worried circles. With hands that shook like leaves, Clara grasped the blanket corners and peeled them back millimeter by millimeter, expecting horror. Instead, she saw Mateo wide-eyed but calm, gazing at the ceiling light with unbroken skin, rosy cheeks, and clear curiosity. The baby even smiled when a traveling sunbeam danced across his tiny nose, blissfully unaware of the storm of fear swirling around him. Clara drew a jagged breath and noticed the crushed wasp on the rug precisely where she had imagined dripping blood. The dark smear was not red but brown and sticky, a reminder of the insect's end beneath Braco's decisive jaws. Understanding struck her like lightning. Braco had lifted Mateo only to shield him from the falling stinger that might have pierced tender skin. Relief washed over her, mingling with regret for doubting the friend who had guarded their home with silent loyalty since every sunrise. Holding Mateo safely in her arms, Clara knelt and stroked Braco's head, whispering a shaky thank you that barely reached her own ears. The dog thumped his tail against the floor, happy to receive affection even though confusion still shimmered in his brown eyes. To be certain nothing was wrong, Clara examined the blanket and Mateo's skin, searching for any scratch or hidden sting mark. All looked perfect, save for the small brown smear where the wasp had met its end, silent evidence of the rescue. Clara scooped the insect into a glass jar that once stored buttons, deciding to show it to the pediatrician for peace of mind. While she packed a diaper bag, Braco sat near the front door, posture straight like a soldier waiting for new orders. In the driveway, she buckled Mateo into his car seat, then opened the back door and invited the faithful dog to hop inside. The road to the clinic curled past tall maples, and at every red light Clara replayed the morning's events in relentless detail. She imagined the wasp stinging Mateo's throat or eyelid and felt her stomach twist, gratitude growing with each passing thought. The pediatrician checked the baby thoroughly and announced him perfectly healthy. No sting, no swelling, only a curious sparkle in his eyes. When Clara displayed the jar, the doctor explained that crushed stingers lose most venom quickly, offering relief with a kind smile. She also praised Braco's reaction, stating that many dogs develop strong protective bonds with infants when trained with kindness. On the way home, Clara stopped at a pet shop and bought a bag of gourmet dog biscuits shaped like little shields. The afternoon sun climbed higher, casting bright diamonds on the windshield as the car rolled into their flower-lined driveway. Mateo snoozed peacefully, rocked by the gentle hum of the engine, a blue pacifier bobbing between soft lips. Braco peered through the window, alert as ever, making sure the yard was clear of any further winged invaders. Inside the house, Clara clipped a new collar around the dog's neck, a shiny tag engraved with the single word "Hero." At the cheerful jingle of metal, Braco lifted his head with quiet dignity, ears up and chest puffed, as though understanding the honor. Mateo reached out and patted the dog's ear, sealing the moment with a baby's simple gesture of trust and wonder. In that sunlit room, Clara realized bravery does not always roar. Sometimes it wags its tail and waits for thanks. That evening, Clara posted a photo of Braco wearing his new collar on the neighborhood forum, writing a short caption about the morning's rescue. Within minutes, the post filled with hearts and comments praising the dog's courage and calm intelligence. One neighbor offered homemade treats, another suggested a community walk to celebrate Braco the Brave, and even the librarian asked to print the tale for the kids' corner. Mateo, oblivious to the sudden fame, tapped plastic blocks together on his blanket while Braco lay nearby, alert but relaxed. Clara read every message and felt the earlier fear dissolve into shared gratitude bright as a lantern in the dark. Someone asked what might have happened without the dog, and Clara shivered, humbled by the thin line between safety and harm. Determined to spread useful lessons, She wrote a longer follow-up stressing early pet training and active supervision rather than blind trust. Teachers from the local school requested permission to share the story in class as an example of responsibility and kindness. Clara gladly agreed, hoping the narrative would inspire children to respect their own pets and stay mindful of tiny dangers. As night settled, phone notifications slowed, and a gentle hush reclaimed the house like a soft blanket. A small lamp cast golden islands of light across the nursery where Mateo slept clutching his red rattle. Braco rested at the foot of the crib, breathing deep and steady, ears flicking at each distant sound. Clara muted her phone, convinced some moments shine best without digital noise clamoring for attention. She opened the family album and added a new page titled The Day Braco Saved Mateo, taping the printed photo beside the shiny collar tag. Underneath, she wrote the date, time, and a single sentence, "True guardians wear fur." Stepping back, she noticed the living room looked unchanged, yet everything important had subtly shifted. Fear had given way to respect, and respect had bloomed into stronger love woven through the fabric of their daily routines. Clara understood that trust, once earned by action, gleams brighter than any medal or internet applause. She kissed Mateo's forehead, scratched Braco's neck, and allowed herself a long, calm breath that tasted like hope. Outside, the moon rose over the forest, silver light painting the windows, as if the night itself wanted to honor a loyal dog's silent watch. News of the heroic dog traveled faster than Clara expected, reaching a local radio station that invited her to share the story on air. She spoke about preparedness, gentle training, and how one quick act can change many lives, and listeners applauded through their speakers. Inspired callers described their own pets' brave moments, turning a simple broadcast into a warm chain of thankful memories. A nearby shelter seized the momentum and held an adoption fair titled Heroes Waiting for Homes, decorating the park with paw-shaped balloons. 12 dogs found families that sunny Saturday, including a shy puppy whose eager lick made a boy laugh loud enough to draw more visitors. Clara and Mateo donated a tower of kibble, while Braco sat proudly by the booth, his tag glinting like a medal in the sun. Children queued to pat the famous shepherd, and Clara explained that bravery begins with love, play, and clear boundaries. On the ride home, Jasmine scented the breeze through rolled-down windows, and Mateo clapped each time Braco barked at passing birds. Back inside, Clara opened every window, letting birdsong flood the hallway while she placed wildflowers in a jar beside the hero's photo. She set Mateo on the playmat and flipped through a picture book about animal heroes, promising to add Braco's page soon. The dog lay beside the baby, resting his muzzle near a chubby foot with a tenderness that could melt stone. Mateo squealed and patted the gentle head, sealing an unbreakable friendship in innocent laughter. In the kitchen, the kettle whistled once more, but now the sound felt like comfort, not alarm. Clara realized that trust forged in crisis can outlast the fear that sparks it, becoming a solid frame for future days. She jotted in her journal, "Sometimes capes are furry, and sometimes heroes drool," and chuckled at the true thought. Outside, twilight painted the sky rose and gold, and crickets tuned their evening orchestra. Braco's silhouette waited at the patio door, ears pointed, eyes scanning the yard for the next small challenge he might quietly defeat. With the house settling into calm, Clara whispered good night to the stars, thankful for the woven safety of family and fur. She knew storms would someday come again, but courage now lived inside their walls, wagging its tail in every corner. When the last lamp blinked off, the home felt peaceful, carrying a tale ready to be retold whenever someone asked what a good dog can do. Weeks drifted into months, and the memory of the wasp incident stayed bright, but everyday routines soon filled the spaces again. Clara enrolled Braco in a friendly obedience showcase at the school gym so children could watch safe ways to meet a dog. Mateo, now toddling on steady feet, clapped whenever Braco trotted in circles, the silver hero tag jingling like a tiny bell. The gym smelled of popcorn and floor wax, and rows of folding chairs creaked under families eager for a fun Saturday event. A firefighter spoke first about hidden dangers in homes, then asked Clara to share how her dog's instinct saved a life. She held a microphone with a calm voice and told a simple story, leaving out no detail yet keeping words clear for young ears. Kids gasped at the mention of the buzzing wasp, then cheered loud enough to rattle banners when they heard how Braco acted so fast. Afterward, volunteers passed out coloring pages showing a shepherd blocking a wasp with a proud stance beside a baby crib. Mateo colored his sheet in bold green and orange scribbles, giggling each time his crayon slipped outside the lines. Braco lay on the edge of the stage, tail sweeping the hardwood like a slow fan, while children took turns feeding him tiny biscuit hearts. One shy boy asked Clara how to know if a dog can be trusted, and she answered, "Teach them with love and watch their eyes and tails." The boy nodded, pressing the advice into his memory the same way he pressed pencil lead into paper to draw a happy dog face. As the crowd thinned, the school principal pinned a bright blue ribbon on Braco's collar that read, "Community Protector." The shepherd sat taller, and even adults smiled at the sight, realizing that bravery does not depend on size, badge, or uniform. Outside, a soft rain began to fall, tapping the windows like gentle fingertips, reminding everyone to head home and stay warm. Mateo reached for his mother's hand while Braco guided them through puddles, careful to slow down when his little boy lagged. Raindrops painted silver dots on fur and hair, yet spirit stayed high because shared pride glowed warmer than any sunbeam. Back at the house, Clara brewed cocoa, and the sweet steam curled through rooms that still felt safer every time Braco padded by. That night she wrote a final journal line, "Courage teaches, trust grows, love keeps watch," then closed the cover with a quiet sigh. Above the roof, the rain stopped, stars winked awake, and a loyal dog settled by the crib once more, guarding dreams until dawn.